understandable. What I'll be talking about is why the National Football League should prioritize the mental health on and injuries on their players. So like saying like why the NFL should worry about their players and their mental health and their well-being. So the National Football League is a sport that everyone enjoys watching it in a regular basis. It also has primetime games every Monday, Thursday, and Sunday night, as well as the AFC and the NFC Championship. They're big title games to determine which teams are represented to go to the Super Bowl. Also, the Super Bowl is considered one of the biggest games out of all of them because it declares the best team in the NFL. But behind the scenes, does the NFL prioritize it on the players and their injuries throughout the 17 or 18 game season? Like, do they care about their mental health and their well-being? So I argue that the National Football League should respect the health of those players without rushing them to play again, as well as considering on their well-being. So like saying how the player feeling, if he's hurt or banged up, will he be good to go, and how long should he rest? So my three main points what I will be talking about in this speech is how playing in the NFL affects you mentally and physically. My second one is chronic traumatic encephalopathy, or considered as CTE, as it relates to the football players playing long term. So it's like, how does it affect the players long term overall? And how can the NFL care for their players for long term fit and to stay healthy throughout the whole season or before the start of the season or overall? So for my first main point, how playing in the NFL affects you mentally and physically. The game is considered as a full contact sport, so players are sometimes tackled and sometimes it's hard hits take a toll on your body. So like saying if you get tackled really bad, for example, what happened to Ryan Shazier, he got hurt against the Cincinnati Bengals and he suffered a neck injury and now he's not able to play anymore. And that's a good example. And also, the way how people get tackled, it becomes a big risk factor towards the NFL, and sometimes careers just end. And in Sportscasting, it's an article that I read. It claims that the main injuries are knee, shoulder, ankle, head injuries, concussion, and upper leg injuries. So like saying what we work, like our hands and our legs and all that, like the main use that we do, it affects us long term. And saying if we break something and like we can't heal it, it takes a toll on your body. And sometimes it's like for that, the NFL players are not seeing their families because they're chasing a bag of getting a bundle of cash because the amount that they get paid to go play a game. But overall, sometimes the NFL player feels lonely because they don't have their family around and they don't have that support and good mental system around them. For so going on to my transitioning to main point B, the chronic traumatic or CTE, as it relates to the following football players long term. It refers us to the degenerating of the brain caused by replaced head trauma. So saying how many hits you've been hit by a concussion, how many times have you been hit in the head, or just like average head injuries. So according to a website called VEST, it says 2 out of 202 brains, 117 and nearly 90% were damaged with CTE in NFL players. So meaning by that playing football long term, even before going in the NFL, can have a severity and a long term effect in you because you're basically already committing head injuries. Another fun fact is several athletes diagnosed with CTE in NFL players are Ken Stabler, he was a quarterback for the Raiders, Junior Seau, linebacker for the Chargers, Tony Dorsett, wide receiver for the Dallas Cowboys, and many others like Aaron Hernandez, tight end for the Patriots. And going into my main point, transitioning to my main point 3, how the NFL can care for the players and long-term fit and health. So the NFL says it tests new helmets every year to see which are safe to use during games and which aren't, in order to reduce head injuries. So I feel like what the NFL does in this, in my opinion, is really good, that they're testing out new equipment every year and especially with heavier, because sometimes if it's outdated, it could really reduce concussions. And so I feel like that's really smart. And then and the second fact is that the NFLPA ensures that the players are using the right equipment, such as knee pads, to prevent bad knee injury. So like saying they're supposed to have their equipment used properly, right? Or they don't, they probably get a fine or something like that, knowing how it happened. Like for example, with OBJ, he would always be wearing his knee pads out, and like because he just likes to flex his legs. And then for my main fact number 3, the players should participate in like what the NFL players do to stay fit, and it's like the players participate in mini camp and training sessions to stay in shape and remain active. So they're already aware of the whole system, how it's gonna be. Like going to training camp, going to mini camps, it helps them overall to stay active overall. But overall, as through my personal experience to playing football, I've already gotten 2 concussions. I've broken a couple of bones. Like for me, football has taken a toll on me, and I still feel the pressure of it sometimes. But sometimes it's like you just have to grow with it. This sport is really dangerous. I would recommend it for my kids, but it's just sometimes football can be fun, but sometimes it can ruin some people's lives. So in conclusion, how playing in the NFL affects you mentally and physically, it really takes a toll on you because you're not seeing your family every day, and then also you're going through injuries, like how I've been seeing a lot of people being hurt lately in the NFL, and that's what made me want to write this speech. And it's like going through injuries, it's not fun. I've dealt with injuries myself as a football player in high school, and it's not fun going through it, and it does take a toll. And overall, it does affect you mentally. CTE is really big in football because it does affect you. It takes a toll of you, and you're not gonna be the same after receiving over 3 concussions. Because I've gone through concussion protocol, it is not fun, but CTE is really serious. And if you feel like you're in need of checking up if you have CTE, go to a local doctor. And yeah, but I just feel like the NFL, like in conclusion, is that the NFL can care for the players long term, but I feel like they should be able to add more steps on trying to keep the players safe throughout the whole 17, 18 game season, especially how they expanded it to 18 games now, and also due to the playoffs, and also the COVID coming and hitting around.